Hi, everyone. My name is Noah Pittman. I'm the Associate Dean of Enrollment for the Honors College at the University of Arkansas. Thank you again for taking time to learn more about our fellowship scholarship application process. This video is going to focus on the academic resume section where students talk about the activities they've been involved with since they've been in high school, any awards or honors they've received. So we'll go through this section of the application and give you some tips on how you can prepare a really effective academic resume. So first off, going into how it's broken down, there's two sections. The first section is the activities section, and you'll be putting the resume into fields. So it's not like you're uploading an academic resume. Now, if you already have one, that's great. You can just copy and paste into the fields. But the first section, the activity section, the instructions are describe up to 8 activities, so just 8. You may include academic, athletic, or talent competitions, school and community leadership roles, research or creative endeavors, summer academic camps, music or theater involvement, and service projects or work-related endeavors. So if you've had a part-time job, feel free to include that. Please indicate your role and amount of time associated with each activity. You can use up to 100 words to describe each activity you list. So those are the instructions that students are given. Let's break down the instructions, really focusing on these sections that are bold and italicized. So the first tip, the activities to include. You saw there's just a general list of potential activities you can include. So I was going to ask, what should I include? Let's say I'm having trouble getting down to 8, or even if I just want to put 2, 3, 4 things, what should I include? The activities list is very broad, so it can include almost anything, whether it's an activity done through school, in your community, an outside sports team, a job, you name it. It can be just about anything. One thing I recommend, though, when you're listing your activities, order the activities starting with which is most important to you, not what you think the reviewer is going to think is most important. What's your most important activity? So like when I was in high school, I did things, I was in some clubs, I did marching band, did tennis for a couple of years, but what I put the most time and energy into was our high school speech and debate teams. That was the first thing I would list because that's where I spent the most time, I was pretty successful at it, and it was the most important thing to me. So start with what's most important to you. The other thing I really recommend, focus on 9th grade and beyond. You know, if you were treasurer of your 6th grade class, that's great. That's wonderful. You probably got some good leadership experience at a younger age. That's not really appropriate for a college application. You need to be focusing on 9th grade and beyond. Now, some exceptions though. You can include activities you've done continuously since before 9th grade. So if you've been a Boy or Girl Scout since the age of 9, done dance since the age of 6, piano since the age of 7, and done it continuously, that's great. You can go well before 9th grade with those types of activities. But if it's just one-off things you might have done in middle school or late elementary school, that really doesn't go on a college application. So that's the first tip on activities to include. The second tip, description is key. In the instructions, it says, please indicate your role and amount of time associated with each activity. So it's not just listing the activity, it's what did you actually do in that role? So what should I include as part of a description? You should talk about how long you've been involved in the activity, along with hours spent a week. So if you've done it since 9th grade and you put 10 hours a week into it, tell us that. That's pretty impressive. You need to mention what's your role in the organization. Are you a member? Do you have a leadership role? If you are a leader, what are your leadership responsibilities? If you're president of a club, what does it mean to be president? What do you have to do as president? You can include that, task accomplished, and so on. You only have 100 words, but you need to put some description. If you just list things and don't put any description with the activities, fair or unfair, we're going to assume that you weren't that involved. You have to tell us that. This is not the time to be humble. Give us some details here. So we're looking for passion and commitment, not just someone who joins lots of random organizations. And this is the case with most college admissions offices. You know, when we're putting together a freshman class, we need athletes. We need people who can play French horn. We need people who can dance. We need artists. We need people who are going to be student government leaders. You know, we're looking for passion and commitment. Even if you're involved with just a few activities, if you have great description, you really put a lot of effort into it, that's going to be more impressive than someone who just joins a bunch of organizations just to be a member. So that description is really important on the resume. So I put some examples of activity descriptions on here. I'm not going to read these word for word, but feel free as you're watching this video to pause, take a look and get an idea. You know, I'll read the first one. Speech and debate team, 10th through 12th grade. I am a member of my school speech and debate program. We travel to 10 to 12 tournaments each year, and I compete in extemporaneous speaking. Since the beginning of sophomore year, I've placed first in extemporaneous speaking 8 different tournaments, including last year's state competition. During the school year, I spent about 10 to 12 hours per week, either practicing or competing. So you see right off the bat how many tournaments they go to. You see the success the students had in there. You see how many hours a week they put into it. That can be a really good description. So that's just an example. Pause on here. You can read the one for marching band. I'll go to the next page. You can also pause here. I gave the example of a part-time job and also a service activity. Take a look at these. These are what I would consider to be good examples of description. So again, feel free to pause before moving on to the rest of the video. So the activity section is obviously important. Also, what's important is the awards and honors section. So the instructions you're given, in order of significance, please describe up to 5 academic awards or honors. Be sure to indicate when you earned them. You can use up to 100 words to describe each award you list. So let's break this down. First tip, think about space. You only have the space for 5 awards, and we have some applicants who've received many more awards or honors in their school, in their community, for athletics, for music, fine arts, you name it. So you have to think about what you want to include. In some instances, you may be able to highlight a series of awards you received in just one of your 5 spaces. So an example I gave, first one, I've competed in the regional science fair on 2 separate occasions. In my sophomore year, I placed 3rd in the biochemistry division. In my junior year, I placed 1st in the biological sciences division. Each of these years, I qualified for our state science fair. So you see, there's actually multiple awards listed here, but they both deal with the regional science fair. So you can group those together. The second example, each year since freshman year, I've been named to the academic all-state team for baseball. During my junior year, I was named to the all-state team as a center fielder. That same year, I was named player of the year for our region. So it focuses on baseball awards. They're separate baseball awards, but they're all for the same sport. So that could be a good way to combine things if you're having trouble getting down to listing 5 awards. If you run out of space, you can also include honors in your activity description. So like you see the description, let's say you can't fit in the all-state baseball team description. You're probably mentioning baseball in your activities. Throw that into your description for your activities, and you're still accomplishing, you're still getting the reviewer to see those awards and honors you've earned. The second tip, as I mentioned, the activities, description is key. Some awards, they're well recognized among reviewers and will require less description, such as National Merit Semifinalists, AP Scholar, AP Capstone, IB Diploma, Eagle Scouts, Girl Scout Gold Award, Boys State, Girls State, All State, Governor's School. You don't need a lot of description for those. We know what those are. Other awards may require more description, especially if the award is named after someone. So an example here, during my junior year, I received the John Smith Award. The award is given to one junior at my high school who has excelled in the areas of academics, leadership, and community service. Teacher nominated me for the award, and after an interview process, I was named the recipient. So you see, John Smith Award, if you just write that down, we don't know what that is. It's given junior year at high school. It's for excellence in a multitude of areas. It's nominated by a teacher, had to go through an interview process. That's all good description included there. So again, if it's an award that's through your community or school, you have to assume that the reviewer has no idea what it is. So make sure to include a good description. So in conclusion, throughout the resume section, description is key. You need to be describing these activities and these awards and honors. Make sure to list activities or honors in the order of importance to you, not what you think will be important to the reviewer. So make sure it's in the order of importance to you. We would much rather see someone who is heavily involved in just a few activities as opposed to lightly involved in 20 organizations. Remember that. That's why, going back to that first tip, description is key. As I always tell students, this is not the time to be humble. It's okay to brag about yourself in the resume section. Let us know what you've accomplished. If you don't tell us that, we don't know about it. So that's why it's important to include here. So thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you get some great tips on preparing your resume section. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Our email address is honors@uark.edu, and our phone number is 479-575-7678. Thanks so much. Hope you have a great rest of the day. Bye.